In that moment, Omawumi had rushed to alert the whole village about Epawuwa's evil deed. Osayi also ran out in the midst of the chaos. And immediately she said those words, Osayi fell to the ground and was met with a stroke instantly and also got dumb too. This story is the continuation and conclusion of the story from our previous video. You would have to see the first part so you would understand this one better. If you missed the first part, check the description box for the link to the first video or click at the top of this video right now to get to the video. As Omawumi realized that she would not get any help from Osayi concerning the issue, she sought to keep going to Ladia until she would be able to get her to speak. Meanwhile, there is a dark secret about Epawuwa, one which the whole village do not know of. But somehow, Ladia had gotten an idea of this dark secret. It is this secret that made her retreat to the house imprisonment she subjected herself to, and the same reason why she kept staring at Omawumi and Osayi and shook her head in pity. Epawuwa belonged to an evil secret cult. It is this secret cult that made Epawuwa so wealthy, and he had been in the cult since when he was much younger as a young man. A friend had introduced him to the cult when he showed the desire to be very wealthy at all costs, as he was from a poor background. After joining the cult, the evil god of the secret cult, whom the members of the cult refers to as Okitingbi, requires Epawuwa to sacrifice a child every 5 years to maintain his wealth and to keep him alive. Now, the child Epawuwa must sacrifice was not just any child. Such a child must be one who is biologically fathered by another man, but must bear Epawuwa's name as his father's name, and the mother of the child must be married to Epawuwa. Again, both mother and child must live with him for at least a period of 3 years before the time of the sacrifice. In the beginning, Epawuwa saw the requirements of such sacrifice as impossible and had chosen to back out, but he was told that he could not back out and would run mad and roam the streets forever if he did. At that time, Epawuwa had just married his first wife, who was the love of his life then, from the new wealth he had just found. In order to appease Okitingbi and to avoid being made mad, Epawuwa paid someone to rape his wife after drugging her by adding a liquid substance to her meal one night. So, Epawuwa sacrificed the child that was born as a result of the rape. However, 3 years later, when Epawuwa tried to get his wife raped again, so he could have another child to sacrifice when it was time for his next sacrifice, his wife coincidentally found out what he was up to as she heard his conversation with his fellow occultic friend. She confronted her husband and also threatened to expose him to the whole village. And before she could carry out her threats, Epawuwa killed her to cover his secrets. And from that time, Epawuwa would hire a man and pay the man to rape young girls who are in their time of the month to get pregnant if they had sexual intercourse. He is able to know when such maiden is at a time of the month by placing a small charm he got from his cult on a road path which shows a little red light to indicate that a maiden is ovulating immediately she crosses over the charm. Epawuwa and the young man he has hired would go to a quiet path and hid by the bush whilst Epawuwa would watch out for the first maiden that would cross over the unnoticed sham and get it to blink. Immediately he gets the sign from the sham, Epawuwa would signal the young man to swing into action. To truly cover his tracks, Epawuwa doesn't hire only a particular person, but different men. These men Epawuwa hires are usually touts from different areas in different big cities. Epawuwa, having married 2 different victims from his rape plot over the years and sacrificing their children after that of his original wife, he chose to leave his village to another faraway village with his 3rd victim so as to avoid suspicions. And that was how he came to settle in Omawumi's village. And the young woman and child he had introduced to the villagers as his wife and child when he came was the 3rd victim after his wife. And Ladia and Omawumi are his victims too. Now, Epawuwa makes his victims take an oath of secrecy and loyalty to him on the next day after their marriage. He does so by giving them a liquid substance in a calabash to drink. They are not to utter any word against him to anyone if they did find out anything unpleasant about him in the future. As the day they do so, they would become dumb and paralyzed forever. Ladia had found out the truth about Epawuwa after her child's death, but because of the oaths, she could not utter a word to anybody, and neither could she run away. And so, it is because of this Ladia retreated to her room and keeps shaking her head in pity every time she looks at Omawumi and Osayi, knowing that their fates would be like her own. Now, Omawumi, who is determined to speak with Ladia, kept knocking on Ladia's door and demanding to speak with her whenever Epawuwa was out of the house. One day, Ladia, seeing that Omawumi was resilient and would not stop, opened her door and let Omawumi in. "I can't tell you anything," Ladia said to Omawumi immediately she got in. "I want you to know that I mean well and that you can trust me," Omawumi replied, sensing that Ladia is trying to withhold an important information from her. "I can't say anything because of the oaths, and you know that too because you also took the oaths," Ladia said. "I did not take the oaths," Omawumi quickly chipped in. Omawumi had felt uncomfortable when Epawuwa had told her that morning that they were going to have a secret oath-taking ceremony on the day after their marriage. Omawumi watched whilst a juju man and Epawuwa got the oath-taking process ready. And then, luckily for her, Epawuwa had gone to attend to one of his house staff who had an immediate information to deliver to him that morning. And the juju man also went to pick up something he needed from his apprentice in the next room, who had forgotten to include it in his main ritual bag. Omawumi, out of impulse, quickly poured the liquid substance into another calabash in the room meant for eating and hid it somewhere. Then, she took water from the water pot and put it in the main calabash and also added red oil into it to make it look just as the real liquid substance the juju man had prepared. Omawumi couldn't explain how she was able to do all that within that short time, but she was grateful that by the gods she was able to before Epawuwa and the juju man returned. And so, instead of the real oat substance, Omawumi took ordinary water mixed with red oil. Omawumi confessed this to Ladia. Ladia, seeing that there was hope, decided to tell Omawumi all about Epawuwa's dark secrets. Ladia, knowing the repercussion and that she would be paralyzed and would go dumb, believed that at least with Omawumi, who did not take the oaths, the whole village would get to know about Epa Uwa's evil deeds, and other young maidens would not be victims of his evil in the future. She saw it as a sacrifice she had to pay for the greater good of her village. And so, immediately Ladia told Omawumi all she knew. At that instant, she suffered a stroke and went dumb. And at that instant also, Omawumi ran out to alert the whole village. Now, Osayi had heard the last sentence Ladia had made concerning Epa Uwa's evil deed. That afternoon, she had noticed that Omawumi was in Ladia's room, and so Osayi tiptoed to eavesdrop on their conversation. She did not hear the beginning part of Ladia and Omawumi's conversation, and so did not wait to think about the oath she had taken a day after her marriage to Epa Uwa. As a matter of fact, she completely forgot about it. So, in that moment, Omawumi had rushed to alert the whole village about Epa Uwa's evil deed. Osayi also ran out in the midst of the chaos. "Mama, they say that Epa Uwa is a cultist who sacrifices children for ritual and kills his wives later. If this is true, then I am doomed though for marrying him," Osayi said as she ran into the arms of her mother, who was part of the crowd. And immediately she said those words, Osayi fell to the ground and was met with a stroke instantly, and also got dumb too. Epa Uwa was seized by the villagers. He confessed to his crime and was given an execution sentence. Omawumi also told the whole village that it was the substance and oaths Epa Uwa had made his victims take was the reason why Ladia and Osayi had suffered a stroke and went dumb, explaining to them how she was able to avoid being affected by the said oaths. In order to help Ladia and Osayi break free from the stroke, which would be a torment for them if left that way, the head of the village asked for help from a great native doctor to free Ladia and Osayi. After praying to their gods for some minutes, Ladia was freed from the effect of the curse of the oaths and became well and was able to speak again. However, Osayi was not healed. Upon further consultation with the gods as to why only Ladia was healed, it was revealed that Osayi was not one of Epa Uwa's victims, as she was not raped but had lured someone, slept with the person, and got pregnant so she could be Epa Uwa's wife due to envy and greed. So, because she was the one who had gone to Epa Uwa herself, she would not be healed, as that would serve as a lesson for her greed. Osayi, though not able to move and speak, could hear everything. Whilst she lay on the mats, tears flowed freely from her eyes as she realized that she had caused what happened to her with her own hands. Omawumi felt pity for her friend who acted out of envy and greed. She wished she could help her and that the gods would change their mind. Anyway, Osayi never got well and remained that way until her death. The villagers spoke of Osayi's story and her sad end as they use it to teach younger generations of the dangers of envy and greed. The end. Now there is an important lesson I would like us to take note of, as we may only focus on the consequences of Osayi's greed and overlook this one I'm about to say. It is about Ladia's sacrifice. Ladia was aware that telling Omawumi about Epa Uwa and exposing him would make her go dumb and paralyzed. But she became selfless and was ready to suffer such fates in order to save other young girls. She was happy that Omawumi would not die and would help her expose Epa Uwa. Well, her sacrifice paid off as she ended up getting healed. Imagine If she had chose to save herself or chose to allow herself to keep getting raped by random men just to enjoy the evil wealth. Ladia's action speaks volume about selflessness with eyes fixed on the greater good and helping the society and humanity.
I hope you enjoyed the story and have learned a thing or two from it. I would love to know. Please leave a comment. Thank you for watching and see you in our next video. Bye.